Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Armed and Ready podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wood, the VA loan guy, and I have an awesome dynamic couple with us today who own Charlie and Echo Winery. And we have Clara and Eric Brinkmeyer on with us today. And Claire is actually an Air Force veteran like myself. So, hoorah. We love that because the Air Force is the best. But we wanted to get you guys on the show today and hear a little bit about your story. I love the name of your wine company because it definitely has that military edge and that military feel to it. But I know there's probably a really neat story behind it, right? And I think everyone probably moonlights or thinks they're going to moonlight in retirement years and into like a winery or a vineyard or something, and you guys are actually living it. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I guess let's start with the military. Like, what even compelled you to join the Air Force, and tell us about that experience.
Well, point blank, I just wanted to travel. So grew up in a small town in West Virginia, wanted to see the world. So of course, my first assignment was all of 5 hours from home at the Pentagon, which was awesome. So put in for worldwide volunteer, went to Europe, went to Korea, went to Africa, Colorado, Louisiana, pretty much traveled every 2 years. So that was my main reason for joining the military, and it's the best decision I ever made.
That's awesome. And you were in the military, you said about 21 years in the Air Force, right?
21 years, right. Mm-hmm.
Wow. What was one of your most memorable, your favorite places you got to visit or get stationed at?
Somewhere around year 15 in the Air Force, I put in for a special duty assignment to work with the defense attaché in Africa. So
cool.
2 years in Cameroon and then 2 years in Madagascar, which was awesome. Operational support, whatever walks in the front door. I was the one and only Air Force person in that embassy. So it was a big responsibility, but a lot of fun.
Oh, that's pretty neat. And now you guys ended up kind of down in my neck of the woods, down in San Diego with your business. How did you guys end up in San Diego after all that travel?
Well, I knew one person in San Diego when I retired. My friend Catherine, we met in Botswana. Of course, that's where you meet Americans, Botswana. And yeah, she invited me out to spend the weekend. I spent 4 days on her couch and decided to move here. Got a job, went back to Canton, Ohio, where my sister was for one winter. Decided that was my motivation to get a job in San Diego and just moved out here the next summer. So, yeah.
Yeah. Our weather's a pretty good motivation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit now about Charlie and Echo. Obviously, Charlie and Echo in the military world, we get what that means, right? That's phonetic alphabet for C and E, right? Which are the initials of your names, right? Clara and Eric. Yep. So the name is really cool. I like it. It has two cool meanings. I think it kind of touches on that military past and plus your names. But tell us about wine. Is wine something you guys have always had a passion for, or tell me about that a little?
Well, I mean, yeah. So on my aspect, I mean, I wouldn't say really ever fully like back on my side, my maternal grandparents emigrated from Italy, and you know, the stories of them back in Ohio where they lived. You know, they had the wine press in the basement, and they grew some grapes there, and they bought grapes, and they always made wine. And my dad, who married in, he said that it was awful wine. But hey, we'll go on what he says. But you know, so there's that background there. But I didn't really carry that. You know, I don't really have anything from there. It's a great story, but not really disconnected. My mom's herself's not that much into wine. I actually got into wine maybe just 20-ish years ago. Just moved out to California myself. Moved out here from Arizona. New group of friends, all big wine people. Started drinking wine. Started loving wine. And around 2007. Wanted to kind of get into the wine business some, and so started off a tiny little winery. Literally, we found another local winery where we could sublease from them a 10-foot by 10-foot square in the corner of their place to start our place. So then Claire and I met very soon after that kind of initial start off. So we both have been kind of working in there at the beginning, and we'd originally called the place Vin Avanti, which was supposed to be this fun mashup of vent for wine and avanti for go forward in French and then Italian. And it was a horrible name. It was my idea. It was a horrible idea. Nobody could say it. Nobody could spell it. Nobody could remember it. And so finally, just about 3 years ago, Claire came up one day with Charlie and Echo. She just blurted it out, and we immediately fell in love with it. Off it went.
That's great. So you guys are over by Miramar, right? Your location is pretty close to that. So do you guys draw in a decent military crowd since you're close to the air base there?
Yeah, no, not yes and no. I mean, it's not. It's such a mixed area, so we get a good amount of military personnel coming in. But I would say probably out of the total mix of our customers, maybe 15-20% of our customers are probably military.
Yeah.
And then there's so much else in there in terms of, biotech and everything else going on in San Diego. It's a real mix of all that, but probably about 20% or so of our customers are from the base. Yeah.
Okay. And so you guys are you actually making your own wine then?
Yeah, we're doing all the, we like to say we just don't grow it.
Okay.
So we don't grow it there. We buy grapes locally. We stay in San Diego County. We buy all the grapes locally off of local growers. We go out to the vineyards to pick up the grapes. They do the picking. We pick them up and we bring them to our little spot. Yeah, we're just north of Northgate of MCAS Miramar. And we bring it into our little industrial space there and make wine out of it. That's it up there.
Yeah. So what type of wine do you guys usually make, or what are you known for?
We're mostly known for, we do a lot of sparkling wine. And it seems maybe a little unusual down in San Diego to make sparkling wine, but you can make fantastic sparkling wine here. And we just thought it just goes so well with the lifestyle and the food and whatnot. We do a lot of sparkling wine. We do a lot of whites and rosés. We kind of always like to say, in San Diego, you eat a lot more fish tacos than beef Wellington. So we kind of focus more on those kind of things that go well with the food and the lifestyle and warm weather and everything down here. We stylistically, we also do a lot of what you would call natural wines in the wine world, meaning you do as little kind of as possible. You don't try to force the wine into much of a particular style. You kind of harvest the grapes. You let wild native yeast take over and ferment it. You try to buy the grapes as naturally grown, organically, or biodynamically grown as you can, and essentially possibly pass muster with organic labeling, but people aren't necessarily as much into the organic labeling as simply ensuring you use those methodologies of being as very natural and as simplistic with the winemaking as possible.
That's really interesting. So are you guys distributing the wine to like resellers, or how do you get the wine out?
Yeah, each and each. So we do our little tasting room there in Miramar. So we have our little tasting room, and then we've started doing more trade, so more stuff to distribution and retail. Really, our biggest distribution, oddly enough, is not locally; it's in Virginia. So we have a distributor in Virginia, and we distribute in Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area. Go figure. So in San Diego, the place to find us is at our place and not many others. And then, the next people, we joke, and they're like, well, where's the next closest place? I'm like, well, Virginia. A little bit of a drive.
A little bit of a drive, that's right. So, we're just starting to reopen a little bit from the whole COVID stay-at-home order. And how did the COVID situation impact you guys? Were you shipping wine directly to people at their homes, or how did that impact business for you?
So we it's again through this whole adventure, every week's a new adventure, and customers would come in and always ask, well, how you doing, or what's going to be going on? I'm like, well, we seem to be doing fine, and I have no idea. Ask me next week. You never know. We immediately were allowed, luckily, that we fall under an essential business. So we were immediately still allowed, while we couldn't do pourings and tastings on site, we were still allowed to ship wine and we were allowed for people to come by for pickup. So they could come by the winery, pick it up. They could actually buy it there, or they could be set up. We invested a lot more time in our website, upgraded all of it to make all the ordering process easier. So they could order and do the whole, drive-through pickup. They could walk up to the window, buy it. And we got a great amount of support. A really heartening amount of support from our existing customer base. So sales suffered, but luckily, the first 2 weeks you're white knuckling it there, wondering if you're going to be around, and pretty soon it was kind of like, well, it looks like it'll be okay. Looks like we're going to pass through this okay, and that's been it. And so then every week we just got allowed to reopen 2 weeks ago with food, and then we were allowed to open up just last week without requiring food, and it was a pretty busy Saturday, as busy as we can with everybody spread out. We've gotten permission from our landlord and from the alcohol licensing bureau to actually expand into the parking lot, and you're seeing a lot of that with restaurants and places where they're getting permits to be able to expand out into parking lots and streets where normally you wouldn't be allowed to, but the alcohol licensing is allowing you to do it for understandable reasons, right? But to get some sort of distancing that you're going to need to be able to do that. And they'd rather see people outside with fresh air a whole bit rather than inside of a tasting. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one thing I can't figure out is how to drink through the mask yet.
Well, once you get it saturated, it just goes through.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Oh, that's funny. With the whole wine process, now, admittedly, I'm not a complete wine aficionado, but I did, one of my good buddies and I, when we graduated college, decided that if we were going to go into the business world, we should know a little more about wine than red and white, right? So there
you go.
So, and going before that, that's all we knew. There was red wine and white wine, and that was the basis of our knowledge. But so we took at the local community college a course on wine and food pairing, and I got to say it was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and learned a ton. I mean, not that I can regurgitate all of it, but learned about the different varietals of wine and what kind of flavors you can smell and taste in them, and how to smell it and taste it and stuff like that. And it was really cool. So the whole wine experience has really changed, for me and a couple of my friends, because we did that. And so I have a really good appreciation for, what you guys do in making the wine and putting the different flavors in it, and the fun part about it, like the social setting of it, with pairing it with food. And it really is a neat thing, especially once you learn a little bit about what you're doing. Do you guys host or teach that to people when they come into your tasting room, or have any events where you do kind of a wine and food pairing type of thing?
No.
No.
Go over the events? Oh, I'll go over the events. So, we normally, pre-COVID, we would generally do one a month. Okay. We'd always kind of talk about it, of course, in the tasting room, but as far as a pairing event, we would do one a month. And some of that was kind of unexpected. We do a wine and cheese pairing with a local cheesemonger, which was always well attended and a great one. But then we'd have fun. We do other ones. We've done wine and oysters. We do that in January, like right in a nice time of oyster season. We've got a guy who, he's the shucker, right? And absolutely fantastic oysters. And then it goes great with all those lighter wines and all that sparkling wine we do. It's a fantastic pairing. So that one sells out all the time. We've done then some other fun oddball ones. We've done wine and gelato and sorbetto, which was a lot of fun. We do that in summer, so we're gonna hopefully be able to do that again. We've of course done wine and chocolate. We usually do that around Valentine's Day. We've also done a full wine and charcuterie. So it's just 5 series of wondrous meat accompaniments. Which is also very
That sounds awesome.
It is. So we usually try to do one once a month. We'd love to expand it. We're just, we're small and trying to make sure that we get enough attention. Right now it's all on hold still. Even with the distancing, it's too distant and it's hard to get. We like those kind of environments to be a more intimate one where you can get really interact with everybody. And right now with still with everybody kind of shotgunned out, it would just, I don't think the event would carry as much on. It wouldn't be as enjoyable. So we're looking to get back into it, hopefully, though.
That's great. What's next for you guys with Charlie and Echo? What's the goal that you guys are driving towards?
Ultimately, we want this to be something that, we both could carry on kind of full time with. Both of us are not completely full time with it, so we're hoping to get like fully full time with it. As far as bringing, I guess, two things. As far as a purely financial motive, it'd be nice to have it be at some place where it becomes a nice retirement income source, reliable thing. Eventually, we get to travel the world and check in at the winery every once in a while and go, everything good? Great. That kind of thing. So hopefully maybe 10, 15 years from now, that would be it, right? Kind of a thing, be able to have it as part of our retirement. As far as, other motivational goals around the winery itself, we just think it's San Diego County, we always say, is the oldest and newest winemaking region, right? It's the oldest winemaking region in California. It just fell by the wayside after Prohibition and the World War II, and different economies came in, and citrus came in, and different things. And now it's really coming alive. And so being able to leave some sort of a mark in the history of San Diego winemaking, even if it's a tiny little footnote when somebody writes the history of San Diego winemaking, it'd be nice to be able to have something that said, we moved the industry forward in some way, right? Made it a little bit more, gave it a style, or gave it some recognition or something.
Yeah, that's really good. San Diego, I think, is so predominantly known now for craft beer, right? And it's been, one of the meccas for that. So I think it's cool that you guys are venturing out and doing the wine thing.
Yeah, we've been told San Diego is a beer place with a wine problem.
That's a good way to explain it. So for someone, if we had a young military person or something listening to this, and they had some ideas of maybe starting their own winery, what kind of tips or suggestions would you give them? I got to imagine that there's probably some pretty good capital costs out the gate to get you going with the right equipment and facility and stuff like that. But what kind of tips and advice would you give somebody who might want to follow down a similar path as you guys?
It is very capital intensive. We're a tiny little winery. And we've had even people come in and comment, oh my gosh, all this equipment. Like, wow, because I go to see other bigger wineries and I'm like, oh my gosh. We built it over years. We built up what we have over a period of 13 years now, slowly accumulating stuff. And we literally, not a joke, Claire and I remember sitting there in our little 10-foot by 10-foot corner in this other winery. We just asked around and found another winery that was cool enough to say, yeah, you can, lease the sub corner from us. And we leased that there, and we spent maybe $2,000, I think, on our initial tanks and all the little equipment to do our little tiny winery that cranked out a couple hundred cases. So, scour the used equipment ads and, get creative and talk to people and learn. So I guess, so trying to summarize that is, I don't be put off by thinking it has to take a lot of capital equipment. You can start with little footprints and do fun little things. You can even contract to have other wineries help you make the wine if you wanted to get started that way, rather than kind of jump into it all yourself. Hard to say otherwise. It's a very welcoming community overall, I would say. The winemaking community and generally the brewing, distilling, mead, cider. This is all a very cool community of people, and it's rare you run across anybody who isn't willing to help you out if you need some information or a lead on a tank or something else. with that, again, if you're coming then from a military background, I mean, also just relying on all of those networks and resources and community too, right? But I just don't be put off by it. We like to act like it's rocket science, but it's not actually rocket science. The wine kind of makes itself. And it doesn't actually cost that much. You can get in without all that capital equipment. It's just going to take time to grow.
Gotcha. Is there like a tricky part to learning how to make wine?
First, you don't let your partner drink it all.
Thirsty.
She gets thirsty there. A tricky to make wine? No, I think actually, well, we come also from a very natural winemaking part. So quite literally, we do as little as possible. You bring the grapes in, you either press them right away, or you destem them and put them in a big bin like this, and they'll just start naturally fermenting. Grapes come in with yeast on them, and you can rely on the wild yeast, and they'll start doing their thing. Tricks, I guess, would be, I would say, two things. One is when you're doing our kind of winemaking, you've got to pick great grapes at the right time, because that's what sets everything else, down the road. It's the foundation of the home, whatever other analogies, you kind of want to use. But if you don't start well there, it doesn't matter what you try to build on top of it. It's all going to be a losing proposition, right? If you don't start with that foundation.
Absolutely.
So the tricks are get great fruit, pick it exactly at the right time, which is always, that's the maddening part every season, right? You can't take back a pick date. You can't pick it and wish you picked a day earlier or picked the day later. And then just attention. We don't do a lot, but by not doing a lot doesn't mean you're not paying attention a lot. You're constantly monitoring things and watching them and making sure things are going okay, and always paying some attention to the details, that when you do maybe need to do a little something, transfer wine to another tank or something else, you know when to do it rather than being too late.
Okay. And then, so like, what is that image you guys have behind you? Tell me, what is that? Is that like actually crushing the grapes in the machine, or what is that?
That's actually, and now that I think about it, we should have pulled up another image. We got an image of Claire popping out of a tank, and I should have gotten that image up. She's cleaning a tank, so she's up there. It's a tank that's double stacked, so she's up about 15 feet in the air. So these are grapes that have been destemmed, and so when you make red wine, it's only red because of the skin contact with the juice. The grapes themselves, the juice isn't red, with very, very few exceptions. And I tell people, just think of table grapes. You buy red table grapes, you don't squish them open, it's like all red all over your hand. It's clear. It only turns red by you mush it up and you sit it in a bin there with its skins, and it starts leaching that color out. And that's what makes it red. It also then gets some flavors out of there. It gets tannins, which is that astringency that you like, that makes you feel like you've got cotton balls on your teeth. In a good big red wine kind of thing. And so that's what's going on here. So you literally actually take the grapes, destem them. There's a machine that'll take the stems off, because we get them on stem in clusters, and then put them into bins. This is a 1,000 pound, half-ton bin. We do half-ton and 1-ton bin. So this is a half-ton. This is 1,000 pounds of grapes. And it'll just leave it in the bin. You put a cloth over it. And it starts fermenting on its own. And what we're doing there is something called a punch down, which is as it ferments, it creates both alcohol, yay, and CO2, gas. And the gas will lift all the grapes up out of the wine. And so what you do is you come by 2 or 3 times a day with a big paddle like that. That's about 10 inches across, for reference. And you just smoosh it back down. It doesn't take too long, but when you do a whole bunch of these bins, it does get pretty exhausting. You kind of just smoosh them all back down. And you have to do that 2 or 3 times a day, because you want the skins down in there to keep extracting the juice. So that's what's going on in that bin.
Okay. Nice. What in the San Diego region, what grape varietals are pretty natural to the area?
We're kind of still finding that out.
Or what
And
grows well?
yeah, we're still really finding it out. People have planted, and there's also the challenge because when you talk about San Diego County, it's a gigantic county. It's a huge county, right? We go all the way from the ocean all the way up through Palomar Mountains and the whole mountain ranges, then back down in Borrego desert area, the Anza Borrego. So you can grow just about everything here, somewhere in the county. It's just a matter of, are you ever going to grow a lot of it? So it's hard to ever say, well, that one thing wouldn't grow here. It just might be you can't grow a lot of it. General things, like a lot of the most popular stuff has very few spots where it grows well. So Cabernet Sauvignon, it's difficult to grow that well down here. Chardonnay, difficult to grow well down here, some of these bigger things. Things that are a little bit more warmer climate, we've had, but with that said, we've also had some great success with some colder climate grapes, which would be a surprise. So Syrah grows well down here, Zinfandel grows well down here. We've actually had crazy success with both Viognier and Riesling. Riesling, you would think would be the weather grape where it's normally grown. We've had a great harvest last year with some delicious Riesling that we brought in. And so a lot of times, though, it still surprises you. I mean, you go and you do all the math in your head of the soil types and the weather and all this other stuff. And that's certainly things you should look for, but sometimes it's kind of a trip. It'll surprise you. But generally speaking, warmer weather things, Syrah, Grenache, Mataro, and we're seeing even more fun, obscure stuff. The Mediterranean grapes are not as well known as classic Bordeaux grapes. And so things like Assyrtiko and Mirabello and slightly more what we would consider in the United States more esoteric grapes, but are very widely known across the Mediterranean. Muscat, that's a classic actually. Muscat's a classic for San Diego County.
Gotcha. That's really cool. Clara, a question I have for you. So how did the military help you, become armed and ready for this new venture of the winery?
Well, as we talked about, I love to travel. My very first assignment overseas was the Azores. So Vino Verde, a lot of white crisp wines, and then I had a follow-on assignment to Germany. So it was just the different regions and different tasting of wine. I never thought I'd end up meeting Eric and being in the wine business. I really wish I would have paid attention when I was in France and even in Africa. South African wines are phenomenal. So depending where you are, for example, we traveled to Croatia a few years back. There's a specific taste to that region. There's a time and there's a place of what it tastes like. So, I mean, if we ever find, Croatian wines every now and then in San Diego, that brings back memories that you know what it tastes like and what it feels like to be in Croatia, to be in Africa, drinking that wine. And it's nice when it stays true to form and it tastes like that location. So I can call that experience, I guess, in the military and having the benefit of traveling the planet and sampling wines from all over the globe. Neither wine is better or worse. They're all just different. You've got to appreciate it from where you're at and how they grow it. But yeah.
Well, because she also had a much greater breadth of wine tasting experience when we started this thing between the two of us. Because again, she kind of drank stuff all over the world, and I was kind of drinking a little bit in the whole California sort of facility. So that helped bring a lot of experience to the plate, to the glass of our stuff. And I don't know if it's military or not, but I don't know if the Protector guys went over. It's the same thing in brewing and winemaking. And most of our job is cleaning. That's most of what we do. We try to act like it's not cleaning. It's mostly cleaning and moving stuff. That's pretty much what making beer or wine is, cleaning and moving stuff. So she moved a lot, and I think she cleaned a lot in the military, so that helps.
Yeah, the military does a good job of teaching you how to clean, that's for sure. Oh, that's great, you guys. Well, I hope to get down to the winery here once this economy opens up a little bit more to visit you guys and share a glass of wine and see it more firsthand. I'd love to come meet you there. And want to just thank you both for taking some time today to be on the show with us. I know you have a lot on your plates, so we really appreciate having you guys on the Armed and Ready podcast, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, no, we really thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks you guys. Have a good one.
All right, you take care.